fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Where you at, McNuggets, you fucking piece of shit?
I'm cool with all the gods. Gods recognize gods.
This is #1 bullshit.
You can't stop us at the Express. Choo-choo, motherfuckers.
I don't have much left to say other than you have seen nothing yet.
Who the fuck is that guy?
I'm the man of the hour, Joe. Too sweet to be sour. What you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet. I'm the women's pick. I'm the men's regret. And if you win against Chael Sonnen, you made a bad bet.
You're listening to the Guts and Glory MMA podcast.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Guts and Glory MMA podcast. My name is Liam O'Griffin, and I'm joined as always by Mr. Paul O'D.
How are things? That's a first. You nearly messed up your own name this time, let alone the intro.
I saved it though. I saved it. How good was that?
Just about. It's been a while since we've done one, so we're probably going to have a catch up for the first bit. You've been on your adventures around the world, and so have the team, and so we'll talk about some stuff that's happened the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. So there you go, folks. We've got a lot to be getting on with. Let's be getting on.
I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
It was nice to hear the end of our theme tune there for a while. Yeah. We kind of went for a little bit of a difference in the intro where we let the theme tune play over the thumbnail, and then we kind of came in afterwards. So on the comment section, let us know. Did you get to see the whole lot?
Neither of us could remember the start of that song or the end of that
or
song.
Or the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you mentioned we've had a bit of time since we've actually done a live broadcast. Well, we weren't around last weekend, and I think the weekend before that was Miami time, and so, we were all over the place.
Hectic.
Yeah.
Speaking of Miami, I suppose we'll start there.
Start there. Why not?
How was that experience? Because obviously you didn't get to go over the first time. Mm-hmm. It must have been kind of surreal to be the big show, big lights, kind of over and doing your thing. Yeah,
it was definitely nice to experience it for myself and to get to meet the team as well, because I was doing a lot of communicating back and forth via email and WhatsApp, and just making sure that the lads were okay, and managing all of the kind of the background paperwork, admin, fighter license, corner license, medicals, recording, all of that kind of stuff. So I actually had a good working relationship with the whole team before I got there, and now this time I just got to put faces with names. And it was good. Man, what a setup.
I'd say so. The studio looks shit hot from what we can see.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's kind of bizarre because it is a studio, getting to see that, and then the other side of it, to kind of what you don't see behind the camera.
Like Pa even had his own kind of dressing table with, you know, like the lights around where you have actresses and actors usually putting on their makeup or stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was our warm-up room. So it was like it was like being on a proper TV
studio
show.
Set, like.
The whole room is an actual TV studio, so like there's rigging everywhere, and that's built into the building.
Yeah.
Every room is soundproofed. There's doors before hallways before doors. Everywhere you go is behind the curtain and stuff.
Yeah.
And then all they have then is they just have the cage right dab in the middle. They have the walkways there permanently, so it's like a solid piece of It's not just like a few boxes and
steel frame kind of job, like
yeah. It's a proper fucking setup, like, and it looks cool. Even where the fighters walk out, there's like 2 screens that are walls. Like the wall is a screen, and they're there permanently. And then they have their production and their commentary table is like a full broadcast table, and that's right beside the cage. You know, everything. It just looks the business
leveled up, like.
And the amount of staff as well that's kind of running the show in behind the scenes. So you have, we say, a typical show, you'll have your runner that will go to each changing room and say, right, you're up in a couple of minutes and get your stuff together and we're going to walk this way or whatever. There was teams of people for every one fighter.
Stop.
You know, so you had like 4 or 5 people with clipboards making sure you had this done. When you walk out here, okay, you follow this guy and you follow that guy, and you know, you just couldn't go wrong. It was so professional, like.
they treat it so more, I suppose, as like they're shooting a TV show in that from a production sense.
Yeah.
They treat it more like that. And I suppose that says a lot to what Campbell's brought into it, because that's his background is production.
Yeah.
And he's brought that element into it. And that's why like they're getting a lot of viewers. They're getting a lot of, and people are trying to rack their brains, you know, how are they outscoring UFC and way outscoring Bellator and what's going on.
So I got to have a chat with the lads about that, and the major thing that they're doing is they're just targeting a brand new audience.
Yeah.
So they hit the Hispanic audience, the Latino audience. So obviously South America, Latin America, Mexico, all of that kind of region, they kind of started there, and now they're just branching into the Spanish-speaking nations of the world. So the reason they're going Europe is to target Spain more. It's not necessarily Europe. It's Spain they're after.
Yeah.
And then obviously Miami and Los Angeles are both very, very much influenced by Spanish-speaking nations as well. You have the Cubans coming into
Haitians,
and the Haitians. Well, the Haitians speak more kind of French Creole, but you have the Cubans that are definitely speaking Spanish, and then you have Mexico kind of bleeding into the southern states there as well. So yeah, they've just, as Campbell keeps saying, instead of trying to copy the UFC, they're going and doing their own thing, and they're not trying to catch up to the UFC. They're just kind of on a parallel track. Now they might be a good few years behind, but they're going in the right direction, and you know, they seem to have a very, very sound strategy. And Campbell is some man for pushing the drama.
Oh yeah, well, I had a chat with him that it was supposed to be a pre-recorded interview, but that went horribly wrong. It was just a
pre-interview.
Yeah, that went horribly wrong. But we had a great chat, and like he was talking about kind of his target. He's like the ideal fighter he wants is like young pros, 20 to 24, 25.
Yep.
Who he knows if they turn into stars are going to move on elsewhere, and he's fine with that. You know, he's fine with building stars, and like I suppose that comes from when he was initially involved in other promotions like UFC. Famously, he started it, and they started from the very start. So their whole goal was to build a star. So that's his MO from day jump when he got into MMA was let's build stars. Like obviously they're a promotion that aren't going to hold on to guys if they're huge records and they're going to move on for world titles in UFC or different organizations, but what they're doing seems to be working. Like the shows, I've watched a good few of them now. Earlier ones they had on Facebook, obviously Paz fights I've watched, but the production value there is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So just bringing in a couple of comments there from the stream. We have Mr. Andy Hickey, the stat man himself, and Mr. Ben Doucette. Are you working today, Ben? So Andy asking, Campbell going to bring any more Irish over after Pa beating the socks off everyone? The answer to that is yes, of course. So the Copa Combacha at the end of the year is almost 99% going to be bantamweight. And yeah, there's an Irish fighter that's going to be on there. So I actually can't say who they've went with in the end, but tune in next week. We might have an exclusive on that for you. And I'll put it into the group chat in a minute there, Andy.
Yeah, you can get the slide before anyone. But speaking of the fight and Pa beating the socks off of everyone, I mean, what a fight! Your heart must have been in your throat the whole way through that fight.
Yeah,
as a coach, as a corner man, that's like obviously you want to see your guys in wars and see that in them and whatever. But it must be tough. Cage side to be watching that and kind of going, "Ooh, Jesus, this is."
It was very tight. Yeah. It was close.
Yeah.
Live, I felt that it was 1-1 going into the third, and then the third was so close. I just couldn't pick it. I knew Pa had the edge on significant strikes. He was more accurate
and more aggressive.
He was pressing forward the whole time. He didn't take a backward step for the entire fight.
Yeah.
But when Isaac Ruelas landed, he landed hard.
Shots.
And he had a couple of knees to the head as well. Pa didn't successfully do any of his takedowns, which was, that doesn't look great. When you go for a takedown, you don't get it. That doesn't look great, However, on the rewatch, I feel very confident that Pa got both first and second round.
I said the same to you after that. I think first and second, and I think what caught me in the first, like obviously the first like minute and a half of the fight, he looked not in trouble, but you know it wasn't going his way. But if you look at the last 3 minutes of that round, he dominated. He was going forward and he was landing strikes.
Yep, 100%.
He definitely landed more in that round.
And he was making Isaac miss quite a lot as well.
And so miss big.
Miss big, yeah. So, like, this is the thing, when you're watching a fight, or, like, this is a theory of mine, but I'm sure, I don't think it's groundbreaking, but when you're watching a fight, you tend to be watching one or other.
Yeah.
So when I was watching it live, I'm only watching Pa. So I'm seeing him do what I normally see him do anyway, so it doesn't surprise me. And then I see him get caught with a hook, and he kind of wobbles a bit, and I'm like, oh, fuck. So that registers more in my memory than what I'm normally... Landing. Yeah. If I was to watch that fight back and only focus on Isaac, then I would have seen him swinging to miss most of his shots. I would say he probably missed 90% of the shots he threw.
He missed a lot. Pa was in and out. Pa's head movement was phenomenal throughout that, yeah. Oh, obviously, there was times his head movement could have been a touch quicker, but he still got caught a few times, but he made him miss an awful lot, yeah.
So just a couple of more people joining the live stream. Looks like we're going to have a busy night in the comment section. Lads, keep them coming. We love to hear the comments. So Kenny Barry, what's next for Pa, lads, and what do you see for him long term? Quilch the Bar, when is the fight being released for all of us to watch? And
Pa has it on YouTube now, doesn't he?
No. So what happened there was somebody posted his full fight up on YouTube in all its glory with the commentary and everything, but it was from a private. It was a stream, yeah. So that got taken down.
Naturally.
So I don't know is the answer to that, Quilcha. I can send you on what I have. Which is some video clips and stuff like that. I'll send that on to you there in a minute. As for Kenny, what's next for Pa? So I had a good chat with Pa when we were over there, and while this fight was kind of 155, and he's by no means undersized for 155, nor is he having bad performances at 155, he is definitely a 145 fighter. I mean, that's where he's going to have... his peak fitness,
success,
I think that's where he long term, that's where he needs to go. And 155 later in his career, when he kind of fills out a bit more. So that's the next thing, is getting down to 145. We pretty much were 145 on this fight. Like, he weighed in 2 kilos under at 150. And that was after drinking loads of water and stuff like that.
But so this was catch weight at 150, wasn't it?
It was catch weight at 150, and then about 3 weeks ago, Pa messaged me. He's like, I'm kind of a little bit heavier than I normally am here. Can we just message them all together?
155.
Isaac Ruelas is already a lightweight, so why the both of us cutting mad amount of water weight? Plus, like, we had to travel and the quarantine and the whole lot. So, I messaged them. They had no problem changing it to 155. So officially it was 155, but you had two guys that could probably make 145.
Yeah.
So, and it looks likely that they're going to rematch at some point in the future.
Yeah, definitely. That rematch at 145 pounds, 100%. I think after that first fight, anyone who saw the fight the whole way through, they definitely want to watch that a second time.
I don't want to see it straight away though.
No, but down the line, definitely. It's
I think it'd be good if the two of them got up the rankings, maybe towards a title shot. They're actually releasing rankings for Combat Day.
Oh, very
which
good.
Would be very nice.
And are they going to be in-house rankings, or are they going to be?
I didn't ask them
media
that. No.
Signs? We know Campbell's relationship with the media, so I imagine they're going to be in-house.
I got the impression they were in-house.
That's look. Yes, there's bias, but everyone else is trying to do these fucking media things, and they're a shit show.
Yeah,
do them in-house. Be as biased as you want, but at least we know where you fucking stand.
Yep. So they actually have the rankings already, but they haven't released them. So I think they're going to do that over the next couple of weeks. So that would be really interesting to see, where do they put Pa?
Yeah,
do they put him anywhere at all in the 155 division? Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. They have. I was going down through their roster. There's a lot of them on the website at 155 and 145. But as Mike Afromovich was saying to me when I was over there, huge number of them are gone since COVID.
And not just that, how many are on a 3-fight win streak in the last 6 weeks?
Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
But then he knows we're going down to 145, so will they rank him anywhere? That's the thing. But look, it doesn't really matter. At this stage, I'm not even looking towards a title for him within the next 4 or 5 fights. I think where we're at right now is a beautiful position. He's 2 fights away from signing a bigger contract, and there's no rush. He's 22. He literally celebrated his 22nd birthday 2 weeks before he fought Isaac Ruelas. And that was the thing, is that he didn't have a great camp coming into this fight. So what we saw of Pa was not Pa at 100%. That was maybe an 80% Pa at best.
Which is fucking terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Like, he probably got a week's...
We're down.
We're not down. I think it's the...
Oh, the monitors are down.
I think it's just... yeah, we're good. We're good. Jesus Christ.
We had a blackout there for a second.
Yeah, we just had a mild heart attack. We thought the whole studio was gone. But yeah, I think no rush. 22 years of age, 3-0.
And he's getting massive experience there.
Yeah.
Massive experience.
Yeah. So I'm looking at just to answer Andy Hickey's question a little bit earlier. I'm working on pushing a lot more of the Irish fighters, and you'll be helping me with that as well. Pushing some Irish fighters. We want to get them on there, and they are coming to Madrid. Combache are looking at setting up a few shows in Madrid in 2022. So there'll be a bit of a shindig over in Spain
for sure.
We'll sell some tickets over there, I'd say.
Yeah. A piss up for a week as well. For myself and Andy, the rest of the week can focus on the fight, and myself and Andy will be on the beer.
So long term, Kenny is asking, what do we see long term for Pat? Kenny, I think based on the way Combate are treating him, and the fact that they're willing to build him, I see him doing his next 10 fights there, without a shadow of a doubt. And after 10 fights, I mean, you're talking maybe 4 years. Who knows what the size the Combate Global will be at that stage? They may well be a major kind of competitor to UFC at that stage. And you know, now I know they're looking at cross promotions as well. Yeah. So they've already done a cross promotion with Ryzen. Yeah. Could be bringing power to Japan.
Forward, yeah. Definitely. Look, they're doing well and supporting the guys they have on the roster. So. All good things, and it seems to be concurrent with what's going on with Pa right now. Combate is getting a lot more press than it has done over the last 3 years right now, and there's kind of a buzz around it. Some of it positive, some of it negative.
We'll talk about the negative.
We'll talk about the negative, yeah. But
this is my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's but right now, for some reason, with the ratings they're getting and everyone talking about that, Campbell and his genius going war with all of MMA media on Twitter, which is hilarious. If you don't follow Campbell on Twitter. He's hilarious. But be prepared, he puts out about 20 tweets a day when he's on one. And you
himself and fucking Donald Trump are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Although opposite sides of the aisle, though.
Yeah, the different wings. And then you have some of the negative stuff that's happened, but there's a lot of media coverage of them right now. Yeah. So they're kind of on the up and up, definitely. And they would have been kind of plateaued. Like they had a huge market all along, and this is the first time a lot of people are talking about them, which is great for Pa, great for Combate.
Yep, 100%. So Quilcha is asking, is Pa learning Spanish? He has mentioned learning it, but has he actually done anything? I doubt it. Me, on the other hand, I've downloaded the Duolingo app, and I've actually paid for a year's subscription. So I'm on a 5-day streak.
Cupla focal, as they'd say.
Cupla focal. Well, right now, yo hablo español.
So is that all you can say then?
That means I speak Spanish. But that's as much as I can actually speak. So I'm one of the few Campbell has yet to go off on at Twitter. Give it time.
Yeah, exactly. It's only a matter of time.
Did you have any opinion on the transgender fight, Quilcha? Maybe that will be one for Campbell to pick on you about.
Yeah. Look, the way I look at that, we both have our opinion, and we've said openly our opinion on it. It's murky water, because you're going to get fucking slandered, or you're going to get fucking, what is it, they say now, quit or fucking cancel culture, that bullshit. Yeah. But my point is, whatever about whether you believe or whether you think it's right or wrong, it's doing fucking great things for Combate right now. Finally, Campbell's been on this for 6 months to a year, really hard, kind of, why the fuck aren't the eyes of the world on us? Your one goes over, he goes over, she goes over and fights and blows up. Any publicity is good publicity. Whether people are against it, for it, whatever you want to say, but yeah. And at the end of the day, the one point I will make on this is, both sides of a fight sign a contract.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? If you don't want to fight a transgender, you don't have to sign the contract. If no one signs the contracts, they won't fight.
So yeah, I mean, I don't agree with transgender male to female fighting in the female division. And the reason I don't agree with it is because you never see it the other way around. You don't see a transgender female to male entering the male division.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, is because it's not fair.
It's not equal, yeah.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, I'm all for inclusion. So, I mean, hopefully in a few years down the road, we'll have enough transgender athletes. Yeah. So we'd have a division there. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Having said that, this was a very good match.
Yeah.
The matchmakers did a hell of a job. Alana McLaughlin, although was born male and whatever the science behind it, whether she has an advantage or she doesn't have an advantage or whatever it was, they picked a girl in Celine that basically nearly knocked her out in the first round. Like myself and Pa we were to fight directly after that fight, so we were watching it in the changing room just before we came out, and we were trying to gauge how much of a warm up we were going to have based on watching the first round.
Yeah.
You know, because if it was a quick knockout, we were on. If they were having a slugfest, then we could relax for another 2 minutes or whatever. And I looked at the first round and I was like, Pa, Alana McLaughlin's getting knocked out here.
Yeah,
get your gloves on. Let's fucking go. So, you know, it wasn't, and as you said, Celine was right there. She signed that contract. She showed up to fight, knowing full well what she had left herself in for. And it's 2 consenting adults. Do what you want. Yeah. I have absolutely no problem with that. However, I still don't agree that a transgender male belongs in the female division. If they have their own division, fantastic. I know that's absolutely impossible right now. There's probably only 2 in the world. Yeah. That I know of anyway.
The real problem, well, one of them's retired long ago. She retired years ago.
Fallon Fox?
She retired, yeah, as far as I know.
I have no idea. She got beaten by Ashley Evans Smith.
Yeah. But as far as I know, she's retired.
Okay.
But the real problem with this will occur if somehow Alana ever ends up with a belt and you're in a position where you have to fight to be a champion or whatever. Yeah. But then again, look, maybe the person who's champion doesn't take the fight. We don't know. But like I say, if you're willing to sign the contract, it's not really us to tell them she shouldn't be fighting. Do you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But it's good publicity for a combat, whatever
and
else
it's good. It's good publicity for the transgender rights for all of those things. I mean, whether you agree with it or not, it's a discussion that needs to be had.
What I will say is, though, from the majority of what I read about it, it seems to be negative kind of opinion of it.
Oh, 100%.
So it's going to get them up in arms, that community up in arms a little bit about MMA fans and MMA community, that they're backwards and they don't believe in, change and any of this. That isn't the case. That's not what we're saying. Yeah. We're fans of this sport. We know that people can be hurt. It's that. Well, that's assuming that's my position. So I'm assuming that's most people's position. So I don't know. From that perspective, I think it could be just creating drama. But
I actually spoke to Alana after the fight as well.
Yeah,
it's actually cool enough. She said she had a girlfriend from Dublin. So
stop.
She was right over to the Irish guys. Oh,
yeah.
Maybe I'll see you guys in the future. It's like, yeah, maybe. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's like it's raising the profile of a discussion that needs to be had. Yeah. As I said, 2 consenting adults. It was a fair match. It was a fair match up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's fair for that to continue to happen, or for other transgender male to female competing in the female division. As a general rule, I don't agree with it. But in this case, in this individual matchup,
it was well matched.
This was a well matched fight, which comes to a point with Combate as well. They have a crack team. I know you told me before I flew out to Miami, but they've got some heavy hitters in the staff inside in there.
People have overlooked this. Like, obviously, like Campbell's told his story 100 times, and people kind of take it as a tongue in cheek because Campbell's a bit out there and he's loud and he's kind of in your face, and people go, oh yeah, but everyone claims to be involved in the UFC early days. Campbell was one of the real brains behind it. No, he's probably not so proud of some of the stuff. Like, he was the one they came out with like these taglines they had at the start.
Yeah.
And like some of the
one man enters, or two men enter, one man leave type of thing. Yeah.
All those, they were all Campbell.
There are no rules.
Yeah. There are no rules was Campbell, because he was the main production guy behind it at the very start.
He's the TV guy.
Yeah. But then the guys they have in Combache were the brains behind Strikeforce. They were the brains behind the Strikeforce roster. And like anyone who's a fan of MMA knows that Strikeforce roster was insane. For a second promotion. They had talent that was at the time definitely competing with the UFC. Now people didn't know that really until they crossed over, but like there was a couple of world champions I think came out of it. Luke Rockhold. Who else came out of there?
Cyborg.
You'd Nick Diaz over there. You'd
KJ Nunes.
Yeah, there was a wealth of talent over there. What's your man name?
So Robbie Lawler was fighting
guy.
there as well at one point.
Yeah, he was another champion that came over.
Paul Daly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no denying it. But it's not only Strikeforce. It was another. Didn't you mention somebody else as well from a different organization?
No, the two, Mike Afromovich and
Tony Padilla.
They were both Strikeforce early doors.
Okay.
So
I spent a lot of time talking to Mike this time. Just trying to kind of do some
build
business.
a relationship.
Yeah. Just try and be in there, be in the know.
Yeah.
It's important. Like from our point of view, I want to get not only Pa, but I would like to get some other fighters on that promotion as well. They treated Pa they are continuing to treat Pa very, very well. They pay him very, very well.
Yep.
And I mean, like the difference that this contract has made to Pa's life, I can't even stress, because I know many other fighters who for the first 3 to 4 to 5 years are completely and utterly broke, just trying to make ends meet and paying for the pleasure to fight, even though they're professional athletes.
Yep.
All on the promise of they'll get to the UFC someday.
What Pa has right now, I'd argue, there are less than a dozen people in that position in Europe, fighting in Europe. So things like this, we get more fighters out there. European promotions have got to up their game.
Yep.
Because there's very few promotions in Europe. There's a few out in the Middle East. Like, how many of our athletes are traveling out to Brave and places like that to get paid, or they have to go to America?
Yep.
Like, if we start sending them elsewhere, they've got to up their game if they want to keep the talent here.
100%. All good. Adrian Murray, hey lads, do you miss me? Not really. You're right. Only joking, Adrian. Of course we do.
We got to talk about some other stuff. So we had the World Cup over in Prague, and there's a team here of Irish MMA is going to be prominent in this one for any of our American viewers. But
yeah,
I mean, the Irish went over there and they were phenomenal.
It was an outstanding medals haul. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to the championships this time. This is actually the first IMAF I haven't been to in yonks. I'm usually there at all of them, but when it came down to Pa fighting for the second time without me, that wasn't going to happen. So it was okay. I'm over there. So, but there was no shortage of coaches over there.
Yeah.
And the athletes, I think there was 26 athletes in the end that ended up flying the tricolour. Phenomenal performance. 12 medals overall, 3 of them gold. Kai O'Sullivan,
two All-Ireland finals.
Yep, exactly.
Which is insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They're taking over the women's. They talk about Sweden having a kind of a hold on the women's at IMAF. The Irish ladies are starting to kind of fight back against them. They're definitely more than holding their own in those divisions.
Yeah. The female divisions is where it's at in the next couple of years for countries looking to develop their IMAF standing. There are opportunities there if you put time into a good team there. And like the thing is that it's a difficult job to pull the very few female athletes together to train to a high level to bring them to an IMAF tournament. Every gym has, we say, a smaller percentage of female athletes to male athletes.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that there's not loads of female athletes that are able to compete at this. Yeah. You have to develop them as a squad. So it's getting the female the 1 or 2 females from this club to train with the 1 or 2 females from the club down the road to train with the 1 or 2 females, so that you have a squad of females who are supporting each other and pushing each other onwards. Luckily, we have hit that critical mass now in Ireland.
Yeah.
Like for years, it was just Eilish from here.
Yeah.
And she flying out on like she going to a lot of the tournaments on like along with maybe 1 or 2 other female girls from around Ireland. You've had like back in 2015 there was only the 2 girls. There was 3 girls. It was Megan O'Loughlin and Debbie O'Sullivan and Lindsay Doyle, I think is her surname. And then now we're coming up to where we have 7, 8, up to 10 female athletes on the team.
And there could have been more, like there could have been more on the team, definitely,
Brilliant. But now that there's enough of a critical mass that they can actually pull together and have a squad session for just the girls.
Yeah.
And another huge thing we had this time around as well was Danny Nealon was there as a coach.
Yeah.
Like a silver medalist from the World Championships in 2017, and now a 4 or 5-0 pro with Bellator. So all of the girls are looking up to her, and she's there. She's there. She knows what they're going through. She knows the tournament format. She knows how to motivate them. She knows how to keep them all kind of banded together. Phenomenal. So Danny's going to be a huge part to play in this national squad over the next few years. She did a great job.
But just goes to show the talent like that's coming from this next generation. Again, we talked about the cadets not that long ago, but like the juniors and the seniors, there's some of them nearly ready to go already. So there's going to be a lot of, especially now with fights back, there's a lot of amateur cards going to be on over the next 2 years, I'd say. After that, there's going to be a whole new generation of fighters ready to turn pro.
Yeah, 100%. And we actually had 2 fighters on this particular Irish squad that were destined to fight pro in Bellator. So you had one lad that didn't make it over there due to injury, was Dara Kelly. Matched for Bellator, but he was going to be fighting in the World Cup in Prague. Stephen Costello, exactly the same.
Stephen as well.
Stephen Costello's matched for Bellator. Now he didn't have he ended up meeting the eventual gold medal winner in his first fight. It was a close fight, but he got pipped at the post. Just goes to show the level at these IMF tournaments. And this wasn't even the World Championships, this was the World Cup. You know, it's a Grand Prix tournament, you know. So phenomenal. Just a couple of comments coming in there. Kenny Barry, given the success of Irish fighters at the IMAF, can you see more promotions looking at Irish fighters? I'm not sure. It's a good question, Kenny. I'm not sure. Being honest, I think that the IMAFs are going under the radar with regards to the promotions around the world.
Still,
They don't get it.
UFC are starting to get it, I think.
Yeah, do you reckon?
But you see, they're cherry picking medalists. Like Mokaev was approached. The kind of names that are coming out of IMAFs are being cherry picked by the UFC as future stars. Like you've got a lot over there now, like Manan Fiorot. There's about 6 or 7 fighters currently in the UFC that are medalists at IMAFs. And I think they're starting to realise, based on that, that okay, let's focus on who's coming out with these medals.
Because you still haven't.
It doesn't mean they're watching them.
Yeah,
but they're starting. It's starting to draw their attention a little.
Because a couple of years ago, Bellator were sitting cage side at a lot of the UFC events, almost like scouting talent. You know, this is where Hulk got his, Ryan Spallan got his contract. Was there was a Bellator rep sitting right there when he owned Plata, another heavyweight, and your man was like, "My God, I have to have this guy." Do you know? So, but having said that, no one professional promotion has monopolized this market yet. You know, they're all kind of like saying, "We'll see what happens in a few years' time." Whoever actually, there's a missed opportunity there. As for promotions around the world, we say like that are not mainstream, like UFC's, Combate, Bellator, PFL. You're talking about the smaller level promotions. Very few of them understand the value of IMAF.
It's Brave and UAE Warriors, really.
That's it.
Yeah,
Brave are snapping them up. Brave are snapping them up,
and they're there.
They're part of it,
So they're part of it. They see what's happening, whereas the others aren't really aware of what's happening. So, like your Cage Warriors, your LFAs in America, they should all be there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their target market. They're looking for
Exactly.
early 20s pros, guys just turning pro, first 4 or 5 fights.
Yep.
Let's build stars, like Combatche are doing. They
Yep.
should be there.
100%.
Yeah.
Adrian Murray, just on that Combatche contract situation for pro fighters, is it up to coach manager to get the right paying contract for their fighters? So well done, Liam Og. Not really. Okay, the first off, let me clear that up there for you, Adrian. It was this man, Mr. Paul O'D, that sorted out the opportunity first.
Small, tiny part.
So if it wasn't for Paul, we wouldn't have this opportunity. Having said that, it did take a bit of work. It did take a fighting Paz Corner to get him in the door. But after that, it was all him. He was the one that put on the performances. He was the one that showed up and was professionally making weight, doing his interviews, doing his photograph, doing his press media obligations, playing the ball, playing all the politics, and just
willing to do the 2-week quarantine for his first fight. Yep. Immediately going into a tournament as a debutant against senior vets of MMA.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all part of it.
Yep.
No, your manager and your coach have to be there and negotiate for you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, if you're going to European promotions and you're trying to negotiate, their cap is way down here.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so you're like, you can't blame a coach here for not getting money.
Yeah.
In some of the promotions that are currently going on in Europe because the money's not there.
Yeah.
They don't, or
the market is not there. It's a promoter's market right now in Europe.
Yeah.
It's a fighter's market in the US, arguably a bit more at the moment.
Definitely.
And in the likes of the UAE, where they have plenty of money to spend, they're not looking to scrimp and save on money.
Yeah.
Quick to the bar, Danny Nealon was phenomenal in the corner too. You could hear her clearly through the stream. Yeah. I mean, Quilcha, she's an absolute powerhouse. Like even from the early days of watching Danny Nealon compete, you could tell she's got a winning attitude.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know how to lose. She honestly doesn't even know how to lose. Even when we were lining up at the breakfast buffet, she was fucking first. Like,
she winning that race too.
She winning every race, but you know, no matter what it is, she's winning. But yeah, and oh, by the way, congrats Quilcha as well. I tweeted out, or retweeted your post. You're going to be writing a lot for Severe MMA. Congrats on that. It's great to hear.
Congratulations.
Well deserved, buddy. So, right, what else are we going to be talking about? So, we just give a shout out to the gold medalists. We had Kai O'Sullivan of CMAC fame, silver medal in the youth championships, now gold medal in the junior championships.
Phenomenal.
And she's just 18.
Yeah. Just 18.
Just 18.
Yeah.
I mean, that girl is going to be a superstar. Mm-hmm. Like, mark my word, she's going to go all the way.
Yeah. She looks the real deal. And up against it, you'd think going into that final and just looked phenomenal.
And a shout out to Megan Hamill, her opponent as well. I think, like, when I grow up, I want to be Megan Hamill. Like, that girl is an absolute monster. Mm-hmm. And only inside the cage. Once you meet her outside the cage, she's a sweetheart.
That's that.
And the thing is that she's going in at flyweight and weighing in closer to strawweight every single time. Every single time. I don't know why she does it. Danny had a good word with her over, and I think she needs to move down. She needs to go in a strawweight. She's naturally a strawweight.
Well, I mean, if you're silver medaling, it's
100%. She will absolutely. I watched her. I felt bad for her opponent. I cornered her over in Rome last year.
Yeah.
And she literally just assaulted a girl for 3 rounds. And when you look at her, she looks like the kid that's bullied in school.
Yeah.
She comes out and she absolutely dominates and murders her opponents. So that final, I mean, I've no doubt that those are 2 of the top flyweight junior athletes in the world. I know this isn't the world championships, but I would be confident to say that a world championship with all the other countries, you'd still have an All-Ireland final at that weight class, because those 2 girls are well deserving of being there. Who else do we have? We had Shauna Bannon, a rematch with our own Kerry-Ann Vernon. Much closer fight this time. Again, another world silver medalist, now World Cup gold medalist.
And what about that? Kerry. What about that knockout in the semi-final?
Kerry got some love on socials for that.
Yeah, she like, the girl melted from that right hand. Like, literally, that's the only way of describing it.
She did, and she was a tough scrapper as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched a few of her fights because we got the heads up the night before that's who she was going to be fighting. So we went back over her fights, and that girl could fight.
But like she landed a right hand on Kerry, a good right hand, a second before the knockout.
Yeah.
And Kerry just ate it and threw back.
Yeah.
So
Kerry's made of something other than human flesh. Like she's made of adamantium or something.
Going to be a big star as well. Yeah.
Yeah. She's got some following on socials in the last, like, she's always had a big kind of following.
Yeah.
But she's on a whole other level now.
Yeah.
Do you know, she's you can see that she's growing in confidence because now she's in there doing what she visualized herself doing.
Yeah.
And she's being successful there. Do you know, a silver medal in the World Cup. IMF level.
But like she's had 3 amateur fights now.
Yeah.
And already, like if you were talking to young amateurs, I would point to her as an example of how you do social media.
Yeah.
How you do, like, how you carry yourself with, you know, professionalism, walking around, the way she's coming into training. Everything is singular goal, singular minded. Like she looks like she's going to right the way to the top. Like,
so we have all of our athletes are always asking us to help them out with sponsorship and stuff.
Yeah.
We have to go knocking on doors for sponsors, usually present them with some information and stuff like that. We have people contacting the gym
about Kerry,
looking to sponsor Kerry.
Yeah.
It's the other way around with this girl. She's got a very, very bright future.
But that a lot of that is to what she's doing, the socials, everything. She's on point.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Sean Duvalish, Kaya had a great few bouts, fantastic skills. Yeah, poster girl for IMAFs, or Kerry is. Yeah, I think in like all the girls that competed for Ireland, each one of them could be an ambassador for not only Irish MMA, for women's MMA.
Yeah.
Just for MMA in general. Do you know, they carried themselves very, very well. They fought very, very well, and they got the results in the end. Who was the other gold medalist?
Middleweight. No, sorry. This is bad now, I'm after forgetting as well. We'll come back to it.
Hang on, I'll dig it out there. Was it one of the fellas, is it?
Yeah.
We had Ryan Kyo. Ryan Kyo from SBG HQ. Yeah, Quilcha just reminded us as well.
And didn't he have the TKO finish from inside his triangle guard? Was that Ryan?
Yeah.
In the first round.
No, that was Taylor Quinn, I think.
Taylor Quinn,
that's one of Andy Ryan's lads. He's a silver medalist, young lad. And Andy said it as well before they went out. If you had told him a couple of weeks previous that Taylor was going to win three fights in 3 days, he would have slapped you in the face and told you to wake up. And there you go. Yeah. You have athletes coming of age out there as well, because you know they're in the environment and they're learning on the job.
Yep.
Andy was talking about how they sat down every morning in front of Mark Goddard during the rules meeting.
Yeah.
And afterwards, then they snuck in backstage when Mark Goddard was giving the referees the pep talk.
Yeah.
And he's telling to them Andy was telling us like that. Mark was specifically saying, if a fighter scores a takedown, they do nothing with it. You give them no credit for the takedown.
Yeah.
If somebody on the bottom is striking and the person on top is only holding, you give the person on the bottom the credit.
Yeah.
And what did Taylor Quinn do? Started hammer fisting from inside the closed guard and scoring wins that way. But yeah, Ryan Kyo, 4 first round finishes in 4 days to win the gold.
Phenomenal.
That kid's another huge star in the making.
Yeah, there's like all 12 of the medalists and many of the non-medalists that went over for Ireland.
Yeah,
are going.
There wasn't a bad performance across the day.
Yeah,
there wasn't a bad performance anywhere.
Yeah,
do you know, we had I think like even Lewis Byrne had a great finish in the first day, the rear naked choke finish. You had obviously Kerry's knockout. You had I can't even remember Caitlin Hadfield. Fighting, we had a full complement of athletes from the north of Ireland this year as part of the All Ireland team, and they all put on excellent performances. So, I mean, this was probably one of the best results for an Irish team heading to an IMAFs that we've had in a long, long time.
Yeah.
So fair play to all the coaches and everything like that.
They were 4th in the senior table, was it?
4th in the seniors, 2nd in the junior.
2nd in the juniors, yeah.
Yep.
Which, I mean, like generally they're reserved for your Ukraines, Russias, Kazakhstans, Bahrain.
That's it. They're your top 4 all the time. Sweden is usually in and around there as well.
So you're breaking to that top 4. It's phenomenal.
Love from India.
Thank you, Ansh.
Thank you, Ansh.
Ansh is becoming a frequent viewer now. I think he's been on a couple of times anyway. Definitely.
Excellent.
We do need to talk about some fights last night.
Did fights happen last night? We're 45 minutes in, but we might just skip over them altogether.
We'll rattle through them.
Keelan won. Well, bossman. Brother, I can finish Paddy the Baddy if I found him in India. Believe me, I will take 2 or 3 minutes for it.
Not a fan of Paddy, so.
No.
Yeah. Paddy's divisive. Paddy's another one of those guys. I think there's going to be as many people watching to see him lose as there is to win. Well,
he's definitely going to make McGregor money, I think.
No. Nobody's ever again going to make McGregor money.
No, don't even start with that bullshit, boy.
I've said this a few times. It's never going to happen again. I'm not saying people aren't going to make millions.
Yeah.
But are you telling me there's another guy going to come along and is going to be from MMA and is going to be number 1 on the Forbes list? Get a grip if you think that's going to happen again.
I think we're going to have the same situation, I said it before, like we did in soccer, where 20, 30 years ago we had the likes of Peter Beardsley, my man, the ugliest man in soccer, where they were earning less than 10 grand a week or whatever it was, and then suddenly they were all earning 50 grand a week, and now we're into millions and billions and the whole lot.
No, I understand that, and that will happen. But McGregor is a eunuch. That kind of money, never again.
He's a eunuch, hang on now. Are you talking about a unicorn?
Yeah, well, a eunuch, like he's one and of his own. That's a word, by the way. I'm not just fucking making that up. You're giggling away at me here.
I don't know. I think a eunuch is a fella that got his balls chopped off.
Well, that's what the original word was. But a eunuch now is someone who's a one and of his own.
Okay, all right. I'll have to go with you on this.
I'm telling you.
What's your point?
My point is nobody else is going to come along and be able to demand from an MMA career 100 million to box. Shit like that is never going to happen again. He's one of his own. I'm not saying that people aren't going to demand 20 million for an MMA fight in the future. I see that happening, but I can't see someone like 180 million in a year would mean someone like that fighting 9 times, which isn't going to happen. I hope the money goes up soon, and I think it will. Before we do get onto the fights, actually, this is a good point. While we're talking about money, what about the promotion that's being touted, that's being backed by popular figures, which is going to be 50-50 split with the fighters? It's going to have a union. They're going to have healthcare until they're long after they retire. They're going to have healthcare. Basically, everything the fighters' unions have been asking for is going to be involved in this promotion.
Who's going to pay for it?
Apparently there's a lot of people involved. GSP is one of the leading figures for this. It's just come out. How do they make money?
Well, this is the problem. I mean, it's all very fine having a wish list of what you want and looking after everybody, but that's not how capitalism works.
The only way they make money from the jump is if they sign several stars from the jump, and the only way they sign several stars from the jump is if they're willing to pay them money they don't have.
Yep.
It can't work.
To round out the rest of the promotion, then they have to have people who are willing to fight for a lot less.
Can't work.
It's going to end up being the same as any other promotion, except that they have the overheads that are going to make them they're going to be bankrupted within the first couple of years. I don't see it working, and so this kind of goes to I've had this argument multiple times. I am not against fighters being paid well.
Oh no,
I am not against fighters being paid well. I am against fighters saying that they deserve to be paid because they're putting their lives on the line and yada yada yada. They deserve this, they deserve that. Listen, you deserve fuck all in this life. You get what you stick your hand out for, and you go and you take it. And you make your demands by proving your numbers. Yep. If you can sell tickets, you will get a cut of your pay-per-view, or you will grow your social media, or you will have other opportunities presented to you. If you just sit on your hole and start moaning about what you don't have, well then you're going to be broke. And you're going to stay broke. And you're going to stay broke and bitter. Get your fingers out and fucking do it for yourself, you know. But look, that's a bit controversial, and I won't harp on it, but I just wanted to kind of I see there from Ange there, brother, these days pussies like Conor, Paddy are growing in India. We wrestle in India, use our hands a lot, but opportunities are very less. Here Conor will get crushed in India. Yeah, I don't think so, Ange. But
And
I
just got them fighting words anyway.
Yeah, no, I admire your passion there. I would recommend, Ange, if you get onto a gentleman by the name of Vaibhav Shetty. He is the IMAF coordinator over there in India, and there is plenty of opportunities for you to get over to the IMAF championships. And if you get yourself into those championships and you do what you're clearly able to do, the opportunities will present themselves. The opportunities are just as hard to come by. Listen, a couple of years ago, if you had told us that an Irishman was going to be in the UFC, that was unheard of. Yeah. Like okay, you guys are in India, and it might seem like Ireland is like easy living over here. Not the case. A couple of years ago, we had Owen Roddy and Aisling Daly and Conor McGregor and many more athletes who were winning title after title, and Cage Warriors, all other promotions around Europe, and they were just not getting the call from the UFC. Conor was the one that stepped up, kicked the door in, and made that route possible for every other Irish athlete. And as a result, we are seeing people like that get to the top. But it wasn't from luck or anything like that. It was from hard work and just believing in yourself and putting yourself out there and looking for those opportunities. Sean Davalish is saying, eunuch, keep digging, Paul.
Apparently he doesn't believe me either. I'm going to have to reassess my evaluation on this word, apparently, but I still think I'm right. I never say anything and think I'm wrong anyway. That's a major flaw of mine. Fights last night. We're going to have to be quick. Right, so main event UFC, you had Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. And this is the first fight in 6-7 fights that I actually had Anthony Smith picked going into it. There was a long time for, I suppose you mentioned the Glover fight and how that it looked like it changed him. And it did. It looked like it had kind of knocked him back, and would he ever recover from it? Yep. But the last couple of wins, he's looked impressive. He's looked like he's gotten back to the old Anthony Smith. And this was another one. And I've never seen him look, the stuff after the fight, it's just shocking it's coming from him because he's such a quiet guy. But he's obviously been listening to all this shit that's been talked about him over the last 2 years. I'm to blame. I've talked shit about him over the last 2 years. I said he was done.
I think he was specifically referencing the Guts and Glory MMA podcast on
Very
Mr. Paul
possibly,
O'D.
yeah. I mean, I've definitely said it 10 times over the last year that he's done. But I'm going to have to eat my words. That was a damn impressive performance against a guy who can put you to sleep, and Anthony Smith came forward and put him down.
I got the impression just watching the fight that Ryan Spann was a bit cocky. I think he landed one shot and then he kind of felt that he was in for a good night. He was going to get that early knockout, and then he got wobbled with a left hook, and it was all downhill from there.
He didn't respect Anthony Smith.
No.
At all. From the jump he didn't.
No. No. And I think that's probably where a lot of the animosity from Anthony Smith came afterwards. He felt disrespected. He felt looked over, you know. Yep. And that came across in Ryan Spann's body language during the fight, and even the confidence in which he just walked forwards. I'd be pissed as well, I'd be honest, but I don't know if I'd go to those lengths. But
like he said, he's 52-5 veteran in the sport. He has earned his dues. I'm a person who's knocked him over the last year, and I'm sure 90% of people involved in MMA at some point over the last 3 years has said Anthony Smith's on a one-way path down the division. Yeah, because that's what it looked like. Yeah. But look, he's proving us all wrong, and long may it continue. It seems like he's got that Rakic fight for December back. Yeah. And I mean, this time I'm going to have a very different view of Anthony Smith going into that fight.
Yeah, so we're looking at his record there. So obviously the Glover Teixeira and the Alexander Rakic were back-to-back losses, and then it was around that time that everybody started shitting on him.
And that was after the John Jones loss as well. Not long after the John Jones loss.
Oh, I forgot that one.
So
yeah, true.
So like, I mean, he just looked like he was a beaten guy at that time. Yeah, and like whatever, but everyone else's perception of Anthony Smith going into this fight, I think Anthony Smith is going in more confident to this fight. Yeah, like coming off the Glover one, it was definitely a tough fight. Like.
Yeah. Oh, I think anybody who's been beaten down by Glover has PTSD. Yeah, I said that before. And the thing about it as well is that Anthony Smith was picking his own teeth out of his face during the Glover Teixeira fight, And then this fight,
No, that was the next one down.
fuck.
Almost. It was almost a perfect
I know
segue.
it would have been beautiful, wouldn't it? Anyway, fuck it.
I shouldn't have interrupted, and then and then when you said this fight, just said it between the two boys.
Okay, so we have to queue up some
English
music
degree.
here.
Oh shit!
Hang on, what? I have an English degree, Paul. Okay, fair enough. Ange, what are your thoughts on Hamzat Kaimiev?
Yeah.
Off you go, Paul.
Big fan, and he's back in a few weeks.
Too much of anything.
November.
I don't know, but you were the one that's stalking him.
UFC 267. Yeah, it's in November. So
what did you see when you were looking in through the bushes?
I mean, he's looking impressive. He's going to come back and dominate. He'll still be welterweight champion by the end of the year. Like, I'm holding on to it. He's going to beat Leach and call out fucking Usman for the next shot. That's what's going to happen, by.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Okay, fair enough. Right. So what else we got? Actually, you were talking about my failed segue. Jan Kuchelaba. We have obviously David Doran's man crush. Versus Devin Clark, and this was a kind of like a coming of age for Jan Kuchelaba, would you say?
Mm-hmm. Jan has always been the guy who he's a nightmare in that first round, and even start to the second round sometimes you just got to be careful with the guy. But I think everyone's game plan with Jan over the last however many years has been, if you get him into the end of the second round or third round, he's there for the taking, because he's
weather the storm,
completely gassed, and he's done it countless times that he's gassed out, and he nodded it to himself in his post-fight when he said, I'm happy I went 3 rounds and I got a decision. That normally never happens. His last fight he got a draw based on a 10-8 in the first round and got beaten down in the next 2. But like he never let up. And I thought as well, I was like, he looked more composed in the striking than he has been, but then he added the grappling to it, which isn't his game really, or not what we've seen from him in a long time. And I thought, is the grappling going to wear him out? No, because it's not his go-to. But he still looked fresh in the third round. He was still taking him down, he just looked a different fighter. He looked very composed.
And he was very efficient with his grappling as well. So like the takedowns, he was getting the guard pass as part of the takedowns. And he was landing straight into the mount. At least twice he landed straight in the mount after a takedown, which takes a lot less energy than normally would be.
And it's not like he was fighting a guy who, like, he, as far as I know, Clark was a NCAA wrestler.
Oh, really?
Like a very.
I'm not 100%.
I don't think he was a champion wrestler, but he was a Division 1 college wrestler. He was a decorated wrestler, so it's not like he was just taking down some scrub who was a kickboxer and stepping over into mount in one go.
His last fight was against Anthony Smith, so it's not been a good year for Devin Clark. But now his next fight is with his orthodontist.
Yeah, it was rough looking, and we were talking about this beforehand. So I was a bit confused when he started asking his corner about how did his mouth look, should he continue. He essentially asked his corner, should he continue. And his cornerman and his father both, well, his father, like you said, he said, you can, if you want to fight, if you don't. Did say it to him. But he went out, and you mentioned halfway through the round he got taken down again. At that point, the corner should have thrown in the towel. 100%. I agree with you.
100%.
He was at risk of taking severe damage in that fight.
So, like, I mean, we saw his teeth push back, but that his teeth were all together. So what that tells me is that it's not his teeth that were knocked out. It was actually his mandible. The actual jawbone itself would have snapped right down there around about the chin area and compressed backwards. Now, that in itself is a pretty nasty injury. But what follows from that is that now you've got the entire mandible is a weakened structure. So where an intact mandible would kind of help itself to stay stable, you knock a big chunk out of the middle of it. Now the sides are likely to cave in. Like, we could have seen his entire lower jaw just falling in on itself. Like if somebody had gotten cross-face on him now, at one point Jan Kuchelaba went to go knee right on his face, and I thought, that's it, his teeth are gone, like his entire jaw is gone. Like, very, very reckless of the corner. He had no chance of winning that fight. The start of the round, he went out, he could have maybe landed a big shot, a couple of hook kicks or whatever. He was looking to land a head kick all night long. But as soon as he got taken down and his guard passed, halfway through the third round, mounted again, throw the fucking towel in.
Yeah.
Come on, lads. Like, we've got to see this at some point in the UFC. Like, I know we're kind of admiring Devin Clark for his bravery, for his toughness, for like, you'd never stop that guy. Who the fuck's going to pay his medical bills in 15 years' time when he's a forgotten about fighter? I mean, okay, we're talking about this new promotion here with health insurance for fighters. We have a responsibility now, in the day and age that we are right now, to start looking after the fighters when they're in these fights.
Yeah.
There's no point in virtue signaling about it fucking like 10, 15 years after these guys have been in absolute wars and we're there screaming for more blood.
Yeah.
Save the fighter now, and then he won't need the health insurance.
What's crazy about it, and I'm not knocking the father because I don't know the relationship, I don't know the dynamic, I don't know anything about it, but it's crazy to me that his father is in the corner and the towel isn't thrown in. Like, I would imagine of anyone, a general relationship, that he'd be the guy to go, look, pull him out of there.
Yeah.
I know maybe it's not his call throwing the towel or whatever, it's the coach, but still you'd imagine that word would have been, let's get him the fuck out of there. It should be the coach's job anyway to say, let's get him the fuck out of there. It's 100% the coach's
job. And the doctor as well. I mean, the doctor saw that. The doctor was looking straight at it and still decided to let him go on. I mean, if there's ever an injury that's clearly like at risk of severe damage going forward from here, and that's the thing.
But see, the doctor can't ask the referee to stop at mid-fight as they're going. Only the referee can stop the action. But I mean, the problem there, and I sympathise with the referee in a sense, is because everyone's talking about the heart, the bravery, the thing, I guarantee you if the ref had stopped that fight for his protection, he'd be slated today.
Yeah.
The referee would be like, he was still with it, he was still fighting back. But, I mean, it should be more commonplace for the ref to go, call it quits today. But
yeah.
And that should be the norm. If the cornermen aren't going to do it, let the ref protect him.
Yeah.
Let the ref make that call, and we shouldn't give them shit for it if they do.
Yeah, 100%. Any other fights on that card that you want to jump in on?
I do want to touch on Mandy Bohm getting kind of a little bit thrown to the wolves in her debut. She didn't do too bad, but I mean, Lipski's looked more and more impressive. Like, I mean, you look at some of the finishes that girl's had. She's had knockouts. She's had brutal knockouts. She had that Suluev stretch finish
against Luana Carolina.
Yeah,
UFC fight night. Yeah.
Like she's looked impressive. Like, look at her losses that since she's got there. Joanne Calderwood, Molly McCann, Antonina Shevchenko. These are top level girls in that division. I think she's right there. I think she's top 10. Yeah. And for that to be her debut,
yeah. We were talking about Mandy Bohm being 7-0 going into this, so she was tipped. She came across from Bellator,
yeah.
Managed now by MTK Global, and they managed to get her out of her Bellator contract and into a UFC contract without ever fighting outside of Bellator, which is quite the achievement.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, fed to the wolves. That was a very, very tough fight. Having said that, though, if she had won that fight, she'd be right up there herself.
She'd be top 10 easy.
Yeah.
But
it's a tough one.
I'd still, when someone crosses over, and I know we talk 7-0, but 7-0 is still green in the sport when you're talking UFC caliber.
Yeah.
I think give her. I'm not going to say a warm up fight because there's no warm up fight in the UFC, but there's easier opponents than fucking Ariana Lipski in the flyweight division. I just think it was tough. Two other people looked quite impressive was Sarukian and Joaquin Buckley on that card. Yeah. Oh, and Manus, you were talking. I missed that fight, but the Nate Manus one as well. You mentioned
Nate Manus and Tony Gravely. Yeah, I mean, at the dying seconds of the first round, Tony Gravely basically knocked Nate Manus into oblivion. He was out of it. He was done. Had he just left Manus to his own devices and just not followed in, he probably would have got the stoppage, because it was like one of those lights out drop jack in the box moments. But he went in to follow him and he kept punching him, and each punch kind of gave him a bit more it looked like he was still alive. He was dead. He was dead. Leave him be. Stop punching him. But the bell went, and it was Keith Peterson, who we know doesn't give a fuck about anyone anyway.
He's just thinking about the next fag and a glass of wine.
Exactly. So he pulls Gravely off, and then walks like literally turns his back on Manus and walks away from him. Do you know? And then once he gets to the middle of the cage, he looks over his shoulder and then he pretends to be concerned about him. And Manus at that stage kind of stood up. You knew he wasn't. He didn't know where the fuck he was. And then his cornermen like ran to him and grabbed him and brought him over to the thing. That fight should have been done.
Yeah.
But he recovered well. His corner did a great job in helping him to recover as well. So they were like, come on, come back to us. You know, it wasn't the case of they were giving him advice. They were trying to fucking revive him. I'm fucking shocked that we didn't see some pedals in there and someone shouting clear. He was out. He was out, and then 2 minutes later, he knocks Gravely out. Yeah,
it's mad. And look, I mean, you're going to feel hard done by if you're Gravely, but the lesson to learn there is if the fella's out, don't hit him.
Well, it's very, very similar to Anderson Silva, Michael Bisping. Very similar kind of dynamic to that.
Yeah.
But
then again, Silva walked away and did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So, there's no winning. Yeah. Got a guy out, there's no winning. I didn't catch any of the early fights, but...
anybody in the comment section want to shout out a fight that you think was worth talking about? We just wanted to kind of touch on the Joaquin Buckley, who also had another Joaquin in his corner, Joaquin Rodriguez. And I was asking Paul earlier on, what are the odds of having two Joaquins on the same team?
You're struggling with the name even.
I was trying to gloss over it.
Just as well there isn't two fucking Joaquins wandering around SVG Cork City. Be walk 1 and walk 2.
But there we go. We were trying to figure out earlier on about how the hell is Antonio Arroyo and Joaquin... No, can't.
It was better. It was definitely a better attempt.
Your man Buckley. How are they in the same weight class? I mean, that looked like an older brother bullying a younger brother.
Yeah, like 10-year older brother.
Yeah,
he completely dwarfed him and looked bigger in every aspect. Like they looked like completely different weight classes.
Yeah. So sorry, now I'm just checking in on the comments.
There, yeah.
So, Quail to the Bar, Aaron Blanchfield and Zhu Rong are ones to keep an eye on. I didn't see that fight, Quilch. I'll have to go back and watch it myself, but I'll take your word for it. I must go back and watch that one now straight away after the broadcast. You didn't see this?
Yeah, I missed the early fights. I was at work.
What was that? I saw a tweet by our own Mr. Andy Hickey who said that China were Italy level MMA last night.
Was that an insult or was it a compliment?
It's an absolute insult. Yeah.
Okay.
Both to China and Italy. From a man from Tipperary.
From Tipperary. No place to be commenting. I don't know. I missed that. I'm going to have to go look into it though. If Andy's still on, he might elaborate on what he was talking about.
So Keelan asking, do we train MMA or anything? Yeah, we do a bit.
Yeah, just a small bit here in the gym we're in.
Yeah.
Greg O'Sullivan there, did the cornermen have as much to say about stopping a fight as the fighter does? They should, is I suppose the answer to that. And they do. They're the ones that can throw in the towel. But it depends on the dynamic between fighter and coach. A lot of coaches just won't because they know their fighter.
Yeah.
And they know it'll cause friction.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're being coached by someone, you should trust them enough to make that call. Mm-hmm. I believe.
Yep, 100%. And so the cornermen, something that actually popped up over in the rules meeting in Combate is that they didn't want the corner throwing a rag into the cage. Mm-hmm. So when I say throw in the towel, I'm talking about the it's a metaphor for stopping the fight.
Yeah,
now, how you actually stop the fight is you have an official behind you in the corner. So there's an official to keep an eye on the corner, making sure that they don't have any dodgy substances on them, that they're not cornering at the wrong time.
Vaseline,
exactly.
GSP.
Or that they're not standing up on the side of the apron during the fight and stuff like that. And if you want, if as a cornerman you want to stop the fight from happening, your athlete is taking too much damage, or they're no longer in a position to win the fight, and you don't want them to get hurt in the meantime, then you just tell that official, and then that official stops the fight on your behalf.
Yeah.
So it can be done. It can definitely be done. At the moment, there's not a culture of throwing in the towel in MMA corners
at all,
and that's just wrong.
Yeah. It's worrying. Like
it's worrying. Yeah.
It's I hate to say it and touch wood, I hope I'm wrong, but we're going to be talking about this down the road and saying, why the fuck wasn't there a culture of throwing in the towel? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like that Calvin Cater fight as well is always mentioned in this, you know.
Yeah.
Random one. Okay, I'm going to read this live now, so I hope this is good. Quilcha, random one, but do you think SBG Cork will start attracting more international fighters to come train at the gym, even for a small period of time, now that you have the likes of Pat and Ryan are after turning pro, along with a load of IMAF fighters?
Well, you have 2 big boxers that come and train down here, so
yeah. So we've had a lot more interest, definitely. Quilcha, 100%. At the moment, we have James Power, who's Ireland's youngest professional boxer. He has done a little bit of training here. He sparred with Pa Lahan, and So and then Mike Perez, who's just won an IBF world title or a W. I can never fucking remember the
IBF. I think
was it IBF?
Yeah.
So Mike Perez has come down and done a few sessions as well. Now obviously we've got nothing to offer those lads in terms of boxing lessons or anything to do with boxing. Those guys will school us every day of the week.
But they're getting the good spars in, and they're
getting the spars in,
looks.
and they feel that there's a kind of an air of professionalism about the fight team that we've got. And for me, that's what I enjoy about it. And I like having the professional fighters who are serious about their career to help with our own professional fighters who want to have a great career. Because you need to be around the people who are heading in the same direction as you.
Yeah.
If any international fighters rock on up, we'll absolutely talk to them anyway. The only thing is, Quilcha, I wouldn't have like a kind of an open door policy, because all it takes is one rotten apple to cause serious damage in the camp. We have what we call in SPG, we have a vibe, and like there's a certain personality that we vibe with, and we get on with. If it's a hardworking and somebody that's nice and somebody that's generally, easy to get along with, or not a dickhead,
basically Sean Strickland is not welcome, is what you're saying.
And a few others, But yeah, there's definitely there's a right fit for the gym, and we've got to be very careful about who we let in. And a lot of times as well, when you have, like we say, the likes now of Pa and Ryan, they're going to have massive targets on their back. I see this with obviously John Cavan is a mentor of mine, and he's got Conor McGregor and loads of other pro athletes, and every pro fighter wants to go in there and they want to prove themselves.
Yeah.
So they want to go in day one, they want to spar Conor McGregor and see can they knock him out. I can't afford for like Ryan and Pat to become
some lunatics coming into the gym saying I want to spar Pat today.
Yeah, we've got shit to be doing. We don't have time to be entertaining these types of personalities. So if somebody comes in and generally speaking, if I know them ahead of time, if they're polite and they're respectful, we'll certainly give them a shot. But I'm happy with who we've got right now, and if anybody else wants to join the mix, we'll have a chat, no bother at all.
Mm-hmm. And like you say, I mean, you look at the amateur team coming through.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them going to be looking at making that move soon enough anyway.
Greg O'Sullivan said Mike Perry would be chased away by Mar with the attitude he has.
Mar is the one to be turning away at the door as well. All the fighters in the gym, they'd be running from Mar. Guaranteed. Yeah. So I suppose, look, just Bellator before we close, because we're going way over time already, I'd say.
Yeah, it's been and there was we thinking we have nothing to talk about again this week.
Yeah. I kind of, look, the main event, I said it beforehand, Yoel with the bubble gut, he's either all of the juice or he's trying to replicate Rampage's trip up to heavyweight, because he looked about the same. No, he's still ripped to death, he's still fucking a phenom freak, but like he looks like a fat freak now as opposed to a. And I'm going to get shit for saying that. But look, I'm allowed to say it. I'm in a position to say it. But he just looked out of shape. He looked horrible. And it was the same Yoel that we saw 3-fight losing streak before he left the UFC, not throwing his shots.
Yeah.
Waiting for that kill shot. And it was horrible. And look, Phil Davis didn't look that much more impressive. He was just able to take him down and do enough to win the fight. And it never should have been a split decision. Davis won that fight clearly.
So we also have who's out of that? Anthony Rumble Johnson is out of that tournament now.
Yeah, and Anglicas is in.
Yes.
Julius Anglicus.
He won one of those kind of backup fights there back along,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
he won. He was and kind of announced before that.
Yeah.
But only in certain circles, and then he won the fight, and he
Yeah.
was officially announced. So.
Yeah. And that wasn't the most impressive fight that night, as far as I can remember. There was another light heavyweight fight that we were talking about.
Your man who beat Nemkov's brother, Albrechtsen.
Yes, Albrechtsen. Yes,
Albrechtsen should be
what
the guy.
What a fucking memory, boy! What a memory.
Albrechtsen should 100% be the guy.
100%. Yeah,
and especially after beating Nemkov's brother.
Yeah,
there's your. Yeah.
I know.
But look, Anglicus is the guy.
I think the decision was made before that fight, so you can't really blame them for that.
And I think Nemkov's got. I don't mean to be rude, but I think Nemkov's got an easy route to the final now, and it'll be him versus Corey or Bader.
Definitely going to be Corey.
Yeah, look, it's hard to rule out Bader though. I think a lot of the dynamic I've seen between the two of them, because they've had them on a couple of little slots since, sitting side by side. Corey seems to be the one that's kind of nodding to, we know what happens in the gym and blah blah blah. So maybe he was dominating him in the gym. That's kind of what he's suggesting without saying it.
Yeah.
But I don't look Bader. He's won 2 belts over there. He's done phenomenally in Bellator.
Yeah,
it's hard to rule him out.
So Greg O'Sullivan asking, do you think ring rust played a part? I believe you're probably talking about Yoel Romero on this particular one.
Not really, because he looked the same as he looked in his last 3 UFC fights, just fatter. And then Scott Coker came out after and said, I want him to stick around. I want him to stick around at 205. And I was like, he looks horrible at 205. Like, it's just, he doesn't look like the same Yoel. I know, I wasn't a fan of it. And I'm glad to a certain extent, I know it's a bit weird, but I'm glad to a certain extent we didn't get that versus the Rumble Johnson. We saw that was, yes, he got the devastating knockout, but he got clipped early in the first, and that kind of,
But does this not set up a fight now between Romero and Rumble now that the two of them are out of the tournament and two of them are...
Very possibly, and no, I've no desire to see it.
You're a hard man to please.
Absolutely no desire to be. It'll headline a Bellator guaranteed, but yeah. And I'll watch it, but I mean, I'm not getting overly excited about it.
So we had Naaman Gracie with the TKO win, first round.
And by the way, Naaman Gracie's got hands. He's got hands. That was a tidy finish. Now, Lemminger kind of, he was on his way out anyway. Like he was getting touched up a bit, but the finish was very smart, very tidy boxing, and just kind of put it on him when he was up against it. It was a standing TKO. He just hands up, making a guard in front of his face, but Neiman just put it on him.
And
Very
Mr.
impressive.
Saul Rogers, still, I know he had
The loss to Mads Burnell.
Mads Burnell. I was just trying to remember what happened in his last fight, but
but that was a phenomenal fight against Mads Burnell. They were back and forth, and Mads looks like an absolute killer. I know Mads lost his last one as well, but I mean, you look at who Saul's lost to there. That's Daniel Weichel and Mads Burnell. Both guys who could easily be a challenge for the title. Daniel has a couple of times, so he's on the way back up. Karahanyan only fought 5 weeks ago against Kiefer, who was a big prospect. So big win for Saul. Yeah,
awesome. So there we go. I think there's no point in going further down the card there. I think we're already over time. 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Oh, we only 1 minute and 20 seconds over time.
No, 1 hour. Sorry, 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, can't be 1 minute and 20 seconds over time.
Yeah, we're way over time. This is way past my bedtime. I don't know if we have any more comments there, but guys, thanks a million for the comment section tonight. Playing a blinder there.
Ange coming in with fighting words from India. Ange, get on that IMAF track.
Vaibhav Shetty is the man you need to get on.
Yeah,
Vaibhav Shetty. If you need his contact details, hit me up at Liam OG Griffin on Twitter, and I will put you guys in touch and get you out to the IMAFs. Ange, it is your route to the UFC, my friend. If you're looking for an opportunity, that's where you need to go.
Back up them fighting words.
So there, have we got? We have loads of events this week. Will we watch any of them? Well, we'll watch all of them, but will we get a podcast in on them?
I'll tell you what. Dana White's Contender Series has been back the last 3 weeks, and it has been fireworks.
Nice.
15 contracts in 15 fights. Now, one of them There was only one fight where there was no contract, but there was one fight where winner and loser got a contract week before last. So that's on Tuesday. I'll be watching that, and then there's fights on at the weekend. I'll be watching those also.
Awesome.
But yes, we'll have a podcast again next week, and hopefully we'll have a pro-am again back up next week.
Nice. So there you go, guys. That's been our show. Thanks a million for watching. Go subscribe over on the YouTube channel, Guts and Glory MMA. Thanks a million. Talk to you soon.
I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Where you at, McNuggets, you fucking piece of shit?
I'm killed with all the gods. Gods recognize God.